What's up, everyone? It's CTD from C2 Wrestling. Before we get into today's video, I got to give you guys a heads up. January 6th, the Netflix debut of Monday Night Raw. We are going live again right here on our YouTube channel. We went live for the last two PLEs. It was such a fun time, a lot of funny moments. You don't want to miss it. This show is going to be huge. They're treating it like a WrestleMania level Raw. We're going live. Come talk wrestling with us. Enjoy the show, the surprises, the big moments. We'll be live for it. Come hang out with us right here on C2 Wrestling. But now, let's get into the video. Yo, what's going on, guys? It's CTD from C2 Wrestling. And I got to be honest with you. Monday Night Raw just wrapped up. I planned on here, all right, I'm going to get on. I'll talk about the great women's semifinals matches we saw. I'll talk about Otis and Gable putting an end to that story, a great matchup. I'll talk about the Judgment Day's new theme song that just doesn't really fit them. I'll talk about the New Day and how great the heel turn has been and how the promo segments with them are just off the charts. I'll talk about Drew versus Jay getting set up. I've got all these things running through my head, and then we get to the main event segment. CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. And now I know these are two great guys on the mic. I know these are two of the greatest of all time, if we're being honest. We go into that segment, and I think to myself, all right, they'll sell the match. They've done plenty of selling, but honestly, this is a match that sells itself. We all know the story. We all know the backstory. We know the history. I'm like, this doesn't, this will be nice, cool, put a bow on things getting into next week. And honestly, I think this isn't the first or the last of their meetings. This is going to be a very long journey between Punk and Rollins. Maybe it concludes at WrestleMania. Maybe it concludes at SummerSlam. Then the promo segment began. I hate to use recency bias. I actually feel in today's wrestling, recency bias gets used like crazy. A great match will happen. It's the greatest match of all time. A great promo will happen. It's the greatest promo of all time. A great move, a great finish. It's the greatest. It's one of the greatest. But I have to be a hypocrite for a minute. I have to. I have to admit when I'm being hypocritical as someone who hates when people say that. That segment between CM Punk and Seth Rollins, that promo from both of them is one of the best promos I've ever watched in my life. It was hook, line, and sinker. Everything. Saying the loud, like the parts out loud. Saying those things. The elephants in the room, addressing them. All of them. Believability. Legitimacy. We know these guys don't like each other. We know these guys mean pretty much everything they're saying. We already knew all of these things, but they haven't been said out loud, and they just said them out loud. This was a match that did not need a promo before next week. This was a match that you write it down on paper and it sells itself. You put it in as the main event on your debut on Netflix and it sells itself. And you do what you do with Roman and Solo and Rhea and Liv. You throw a video package on and say, next week you get the conclusion. But instead we get that promo segment. Maybe it is being too hypocritical with the recency bias, but that is one of my favorite promos I've ever watched. That is an absolute perfect end to the run of WWE Raw on cable on USA. Now, a piece of me thinks when they get onto Netflix and those guys are spitting, there's no rush. They don't need to get off that quick. They can keep going because, they've definitely got a few more in the chamber. They could have kept going. They used a lot of big hits, but there's still a few more big hits in there that we know. That was absolute perfection. And I cannot stress enough. After that promo, I was already excited for Raw next week. I've been texting my buddies. I just can't wait for next Monday. This does feel like a PLE. This does feel like a big event. Now it really does feel like a WrestleMania main event because this is. This is a WrestleMania main event that we're getting on Monday Night Raw. This is last year's Mania main event, night one, that we were supposed to get until CM Punk got injured. It's pretty clear that was the route they were going. Now we're getting it on Netflix on Raw. It's at the point where you have to sit there and be like, when you're a diehard wrestling fan, when you're, I mean, you don't even have to be a diehard wrestling fan. When you're following guys like this, you're following this story. This is the type of match. This is the type of story. This is the type of show that you're like, this is circled on my calendar. This I need to request off work for. This main event is the main event. It's not just the people's main event, it's the legit main event. I cannot contain my excitement. I wanted to come on here and talk about all the other great aspects of Raw because it was a damn good show. For the last 2 hour episode, and God knows how long, maybe ever. For the last episode on cable, and God knows how long, maybe ever. Top to bottom, it was really, really good. It flowed nice. It didn't stall at all. The matches were solid. The promos were solid. The crowd, clap it up for Houston. Houston was awesome. But all I can think about is the main event. That's all I can really talk about. I don't really know how I can even break down anything else, how I can even get into anything else. I'm going to be honest. I went into this week, this Raw, kind of looking at next week already because of how close the Netflix debut is. And I even texted Snowden, the other member of C2. And I was like, hey, this is just, it's the last Raw before the big Raw. It's the go home, but yeah, it's not, it's all right. The card isn't bad, but it's not anything crazy. I was wrong. I was wrong. This was a must-see Raw. This Raw was top to bottom fantastic. I loved it. I want to know what you guys think. Did this sell the Punk Rollins match for you, or was it already sold for you? Did this put you hook, line, and sinker? Your excitement, was it at a 9 and now it's at an 11 out of 10? For me, I mean, I was also going to talk about who I wanted to win. Each time Punk and Rollins went talking, I was like, all right, I want Punk to win. All right, I want Rollins to win now. All right, I want Punk to win. You know what? The fans are winning. And it left me with one thing. This can't and will not be the final promo battle and the final matchup between them two. It may finish at WrestleMania. It may finish at SummerSlam. It may finish at next year's WrestleMania. Who knows? But this can't and this won't be the end of them two because there is too much gold that they just started digging into. And I loved every second of it. My excitement is through the roof. A little upset, not enough Gunther on the show. As a Gunther Stan account, I do have to mention that. But my gut feeling, before I get out of here, my gut feeling is CM Punk beats Seth Rollins next week. Challenges Gunther maybe at the Rumble, maybe at Saturday night's main event. And maybe Seth Rollins costs CM Punk, gets a little comeuppance for however it goes down. It just feels like there's a lot to happen between these two. And I don't know if Seth beating Punk clean would be the outcome. Now, if Seth cheats to beat Punk, I could see that. But if anyone's going to win clean, I think it's going to be CM Punk. And I am so excited to find out. We're going to be live for it, our live reactions. I'm already juiced up. I'm going to be amped during the entire show, but especially during the main event. That has me from an 11 to an infinity. I am so excited. I hope you guys are excited. Come hang out with us. Our live reactions right here to Raw next week, the Netflix debut. Snowden and I live on the C2 Wrestling channel. Live stream. We're going to have fun. We'll talk wrestling. We'll talk about the matches that are going on. We'll talk about random nonsense, the funny moments. The streams are always a good time. So come hang out with us next Monday and watch the show with us. While you're down there, please hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, like the video, share it, follow us on our socials, do anything and everything, you name it. We are having a blast here on C2 Wrestling. And honestly, WWE is so on fire right now. Wrestling is so on fire right now that we're just going to keep pumping content out for you. We got more video coming tomorrow. We got more videos coming later. We got live streams. We got reactions. You name it. You got to be here. C2 Wrestling. I've been CTD. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.